Yalimadid, everyone, welcome. My name is Iman Topan. I am the chair of the Women's Activities Portfolio WAP in the UK. WAP are dedicated to supporting women and their families throughout their lives, and we've been running these virtual sisterhood forums for women to come together as one Jamaat to support and uplift each other and make meaningful connections. We really hope you enjoy this session today, which we want to be very informal and interactive, so we'd love to hear your thoughts throughout on the chat and in the breakouts we have later on. So as you may know, today's topic of conversation is Freedom to Be You, where we'll be discussing self-esteem and confidence. I would like to introduce our guest, Azmina Jiwa. Azmina is a personal development trainer, international speaker, and has written a book titled Freedom to Be Me. Thank you so much, Azmina, for joining us today, and I'll hand over to you to kick off our conversation.
Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to be here. And I'd like to thank Shelina and Iman and the whole WAP team for this wonderful opportunity to present today. So thank you very much. And hello and Yalimada to everybody who is here today, taking their time this evening to listen to me. So thank you very much for being here. And yes, so as you know, the topic today is freedom to be you. And for the last 20 years, I'd say, I've been working on myself. My journey started 20 years ago as somebody who didn't feel happy. And I've been working at this freedom to be me, gathered a lot of tools and feel much, much better in myself. And this is what I'd just love to share with everybody here. Obviously, today I'll be sharing about 3 tools. But there are many, many tools for how we can have the freedom to be me. So I would like to ask you a question so we can. What does freedom to be yourself mean to you? And what stops us having this freedom? What stops us feeling comfortable in our own skin and being able to say and be and what we want to do? So if maybe I can ask people to either put a few words on chat, and if anybody really wants to say something, then you can raise your hand and we will unmute you. And if you can kind of just say maybe 2 or 3 words towards it so we can give opportunity to many people. So I'll just give you a little time to do that. What does freedom mean to you? And what stops us? Yes, so maybe we can hear what people are saying. It might be interesting.
We've got a few coming through on the chat. We've got lack of confidence, my thoughts, mind, and other people. Quite a few people saying other people, particularly people who might judge. Society is a great barrier to stop us from being me. Not being happy with who I am. The meaning of freedom, accepting your flaws and mistakes. Something you can feel and express the way you want to.
Excellent, yes. So that's great. So I'm hoping that the 3 things I'm going to share today, which are self-acceptance, will cover a lot of these things that you've mentioned already in chat. So one of them that I found of great benefit was really to learn to accept myself. Often we are the greatest critique of ourselves. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm obviously going to talk about overcoming fears, because that's another thing that really, really, really helped me knowing things about fear, truths about fear, which I'll share with you. Prior to that, I was actually living my life with a lot of fears. And I think that was what was keeping me stuck and feeling unhappy. And I also, what made a big difference to me is taking responsibility for my own happiness. And I think often that's something we don't do. We hand over our power to situations and other people. So these are the 3 topics I'm going to talk about today. And the first one is self-acceptance. So if we can just move on to that. Yeah, I think I'm sure a lot of you have obviously heard of the poet Jalaluddin Rumi. I think he puts it really, really well. He says, don't you know that you are the light that shines the world? Now, how often would we think we are actually, each one of us, this light that shines the world? I think often we want to shy away from shining. But I think we have come to this earth. My belief is that we have come here, we are born in the short passage of life. And to me, it doesn't make sense we're born and we die. I think we have come here for a purpose. I think each one of us has a gift to offer to humanity. And that's why I think we are, each one of us, are that light that shines the world. So we don't need to shy away. We need to be and accept who we are. And I'll share with you in the next slide another quote, which is about accepting ourselves as we are, means to value our imperfections as much as our perfections. Now, who is perfect in this world? Nobody. So we need to accept all of us have strengths and weaknesses. All of us, there's something we do really, really well, and there are other things we don't do so well. But what happens often? When we don't do something well, we are comparing ourselves to other people, and we're not actually accepting what we are not good at. And it's completely okay not to be good at everything. And, we can't be good at everything. So we need to just accept that whatever I can do really well is great. That's my gift. What I can't do well, maybe we can see whether we want to change that or not. And sometimes we just have to accept it. With me, I'm not really a very good organizer when it comes to paperwork. And it used to be also my clothes. But I've got much better because I got a coach to help me to sort out my clothes. There was a time when I used to just pile them. When I changed my clothes, I used to pile them. And then every month, it was such a headache to sort them out. But then my paperwork is another thing that I just find I get into a muddle when I don't know where to file things. And maybe I don't have so much paperwork. So I've come to a point when I'm now really quite okay to say, you know what, I'm actually not that great at it. And it's completely fine. So what we want to change in ourselves, we can. But what we don't have to is completely okay to just say, that's me, and that's completely okay. So I'll tell you a little story of how sometimes even our imperfections or our weaknesses can actually be of benefit. There was this man who was delivering water to a village. And I don't know, you might have seen some pictures where people have this like a pole and 2 buckets on either side, and they're carrying this water. So he was doing this daily. And as he goes to this village, one of the pots, one of the buckets actually started leaking slightly. And there came a time when the leak grew bigger and bigger. And when he got to the village, there wasn't much water left in that one. So people started complaining. And he was feeling very guilty. But really, what they noticed afterwards was that where the water was leaking was lovely greenery had come up on this dry road. And on that side, there was nothing. So actually, even that weakness was of benefit to the village. They were really happy about that. So really, we don't need to always be perfect. And we know that nobody's perfect. So let's see how we are so unique and special in this next slide. Each one of us, I believe, is very unique and very special. We are 7 billion people on this earth, and nobody has got your fingerprints. Nobody has your features. Sometimes, yes, there are some lookalikes. I often get said, oh, you look like my, my mother, or you look like my auntie, or you look like my sister. So I think some statistics I read which says there's about 6 people who might look alike, like you. But completely like you, there's nobody who has your features in this life, in this world. So every one of you is very, very special and very unique. And each one of us has come here with some gifts. Not only that, just like a jigsaw puzzle, we are also connected. So we are very special, like a jigsaw puzzle. There's no piece in a jigsaw puzzle that's the same when we have a full picture, when we, So when we are not just being ourselves, and we take ourselves, say one of us, or many of us are not being ourselves, but imagine in that jigsaw puzzle, you're not being who you are, with your perfections, with your imperfections. Take yourself out of that jigsaw puzzle, which makes the human picture of all of us. What happens? What happens to that jigsaw puzzle? I think it's incomplete. Your contribution to humanity is missing. When we say, many times we say, oh, I wish I was like so-and-so because they can do this so well. And I was somebody like that. I used to really put people on a pedestal, especially people who had some kind of a position. And I would meet them and I would think, oh my God, they must be so special because they're up here and I'm here. And when I learned how to change my mindset and how to get more confident and have self-esteem, I started this self-talk, which was, I am just as good as everybody else, but different. Everybody has certain skills. They have certain skills, I have certain skills. And so they're not up here, we are here. And that gradually, as I did more and more of that, I started to feel more confident. And I'm now able to speak to people. And if I hadn't worked on myself, I really even wouldn't be here talking. If I hadn't accepted myself, overcome my fears, took responsibility. So that really, really has made me being able to express my potential because I overcame those hurdles. So remember, we are all connected. When we do something, we also help others who are connected with us. So that's even more reason to do the kind of things that we enjoy doing, because we all have vibrations. As when we do things we enjoy, we vibrate positivity and we help others around us. So really, really appreciate your uniqueness, your specialness. You are that special person, and be just who you are. Be comfortable in your skin. Okay, so now we will talk about taking responsibility, I think is the next one. Oh, it's overcoming fears. Yes, if I can have the next slide. Oh, okay. I just want to talk about, so how do you do that? For me, I think it would be really great, I think, if people actually made a list. Make a list of all the things that you're good at, all the things you do well, whatever it is, how the way of your being, whatever it is that you feel great about yourself, or just appreciate them, put them on a list. What compliments people give you? Often when we are complimented, we often say, that was just a fluke. Or it's just today that I look this way. If somebody says something, or somebody said, you're really great at cooking, we might say, yeah, it's okay. Sometimes it doesn't turn out well. So we put ourselves down. But accept those compliments, because that's you. They can see that in you. And what do you think you're not good at? It's fine. Acknowledge it. And whatever you want to change, you can change. So you can change your habits, whatever it is you want to change, by changing the thought processes. And slowly the change starts to happen. So this is really, I hope it helps for you to express your own uniqueness. And the more we accept ourselves, the more we can be expressing our own potential and give our gifts to the world. Now, this was something that was huge for me. I was living with so much fear in my life. I think I was living what others wanted me to do. Some of you said earlier in the chat, it's fear that stops us, fear of judgment, fear of failure. And these are the fears that hold us behind. Now, when I started my journey, when I learned, one of the books that really, really helped me was Dr. Susan Jeffers' book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And I was a licensed trainer for that book. And she talks about some truths about fear. And when she mentioned that everybody feels fear. So courage is not the absence of fear, but it's the acquired ability to move beyond fear. When I heard this, it was a huge opening to me, because I used to think if I feel fear, it means that I cannot do whatever I'm fearful of. You know, I couldn't even speak to 3 people. I used to go to pick up my children at school many years ago, and I would stay in the car, and I would see those parents outside the school chatting and, you know, looking very happy. And I would think myself, I can't go and stand there. I'm going to look silly. What are they going to say? I might not know what to share with them. All those kind of thoughts. And when the children were just about to come out, that's when I would go there. So even speaking to those 3 or 4 people standing there is something I couldn't do. But once I knew that, you know, it's everybody has fear, and it's okay when you have fear. It's just what you do with fear. You just feel that fear and you go and do it anyway. So that really, really helped me move forward. Another thing I'll tell you, when I started, I mean, you know, during my journey of self-discovery, and I went to a lot of workshops and learned all these tools, I really became passionate about wanting to share. I did some training, but of course I had fear of public speaking. But I just, as time went on, you know, and I started becoming more and more confident, I just put myself into a spot where it was one of those shows, Mind, Body, Soul exhibitions. And I just put myself forward and I said, I'm just going to go and do this. And I turned around and there were 60 people in the room. And you can imagine what started happening. My knees started knocking. My mouth was dry. My heart was beating fast. But I started. And as I said, I had lots of notes in those days. And, you know, so I started speaking. And as I was speaking, I could see people nodding their heads a little bit, paying attention. And I thought, okay, looks like they're okay. And I think I'd also learned, if 1 or 2 people walk out, you know, normally you would think, oh my God, they walked out because I'm just an awful speaker. But now I've come to believe, no, whatever, maybe they have, but maybe not. Maybe it's something else that they're going out for. So these little things really, really helped me. And I started to relax. And when I finished, another thing I'd learned is not to be critical. Yes, I probably made mistakes and I can learn from them. But at the end, I just went, yes, I did it. And you know, that feeling of really, literally jumping out of that comfort zone and feeling that exhilaration. So when you do something, celebrate. We often criticize ourselves and we don't celebrate the, you know, that wonderful feeling. And we just look at what we didn't do well. And there might only be 1 or 2 things we didn't do well. But 90% we probably did quite well. So acknowledge that and celebrate. So just knowing those truths, I hope, will help you with whatever fears you are facing to just go out and do it. Often what happens is we say to ourselves, oh, when I've got all the knowledge, then I will go and present. But you know, you will never gather enough knowledge. You keep putting it off. But when I stepped into that and said, I'm going to do this presentation, I had to prepare. So when you go and you just take that step, then you start preparing. You don't always be completely prepared beforehand because the fears will just stop you doing that. You can never be completely prepared. And just start wherever you are with whatever knowledge you've got. Whatever dreams you have, start with where you are now and take baby steps. And on the way, if you need to learn something, great, but keep stepping out of that comfort zone. It's quite a funny word, being in a comfort zone. It's comfortable, but it's not happy. We don't feel happy. We don't feel satisfied. We don't feel fulfilled. So the only way to progress and to grow. We all need to grow spiritually, and we need to grow with our knowledge and sharing our knowledge. And the only way to do that is to step out and feel that fear and just do it anyway. So let's see how we can then manage that fears and overcome the fears. So sorry, I just wanted, I really like this Marriene Willamson's poem, and I'll just give you a moment just to read it, or maybe I'll read it to quicken it. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are the child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, just like Rumi said, as children do. We were born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our fears, our presence automatically liberates others. So that also takes us back to the puzzle, the jigsaw puzzle. When you shine, you help other people as well. Okay, we'll move on now to how we can, so how to overcome your fears. Become aware of your thoughts and feelings. If they are negative, no, I can't do this, I'm too fearful, change it. Yes, I can. Create a different positive affirmation. Write this on cards, have it everywhere where you can see it, and just go out there and do it. Okay, we'll move on to the next topic, which is taking responsibility. You know, like I said earlier, when we don't take responsibility, we are giving our power away to other people. So how do you know you're not taking responsibility? When you notice you're blaming the situation or other people, then you become a victim of that circumstance, or a victim of the person or society. Somebody said society doesn't let us sometimes accept ourselves. But when you take responsibility, then we have the power. So we'll move on to the next one, because I think my time is coming on. So the next slide expands. Okay, so this is Hazrimam's speech he made in Kabul, in Afghanistan. The talk was it's an extract from Enabling Environment Conference in Kabul, Afghanistan, June 4, 2007, where he said, in the end, human progress must grow out of human heart and soul. The environment enables, but it is the human spirit, guided and supported by divine will eventually triumph. Will eventually triumph, yes. But I would end as I begin by suggesting that the enabling environment can only do so much. In the final analysis, it can create a framework in which individuals can make the best possible use of their personal gifts, which, remember earlier I said, we all have personal gifts. And he quoted this ayat from the Quran. An ayat in the Quran says, and I think a lot of other religious books also say, verily, God does not change a people's condition unless they change that which is in themselves. So we do need to take responsibility to change. In the end, it is the will and resourcefulness of each one of us, human being, with Allah's blessings and guidance will determine our future. So how do we take this power back? So we'll look at that in the next slide. So notice, where are you blaming other people? Where are you getting upset and frustrated because of their behavior? Where are you feeling helpless, self-pity? And if you say to yourself, well, I am responsible in changing this situation, then what actions would you take? You know, I used to live with blaming. I used to actually blame my husband a lot because he would say things and I would think that's a command and I've got to do what he's saying. And that was false expectations appearing real for me. But when I learned this and I started saying, well, if it's my responsibility, what am I going to do? I started getting more assertive. I started speaking my mind more, because really at the time he didn't even know what I wanted, because I was so fearful I wouldn't voice my opinions. So I started making these little changes, and it made a huge difference to my life. And I started doing things I enjoy, and life was still fine. Everybody was still fine around me. But it was all those expectations I had that it wouldn't work. So wherever you notice blaming other people, start to ask yourself, why am I become a victim of this? And what can I do about it? And then you have the power to change and feel good about yourself. So now we're going to go into groups. And what we would like you to discuss is any of these things that I've talked about today. What resonates with you? Was it about your special gifts and qualities and your uniqueness? Shout about a bit in your group. Was it something about your fear? What did you learn? And what maybe you could put into practice to overcome that fear? What is one area in your life that you've just realized with this session that you're blaming? And what could you do to take more responsibility? So maybe we can have a little discussion, and then we'll come back, and if you would like to share, we'll have that discussion afterwards. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. So are we all back now? Yes? Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, so if anybody wants to come from your conversations that you've had, and if anybody wants to share, if you want to speak a few words about it, or put it on chat, we can see what came up in your groups.
So thank you for the session. It was really informative. I loved the part where you put up a quote from Hazram's speech in Kabul about environment and special gifts.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's a really interesting perspective, because we usually hear about fixing the environment and, you know, having a nurturing environment, which is important, but it is equally important, or more so, to also honor your special gifts. So that was a very informative perspective.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I think it gives us more confidence to say, I've got these gifts and I've got to express it, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, lovely. Thank you so much.
We've got a comment in the chat about setting small goals and celebrating them regularly, helping you to feel good about yourself.
Exactly. It's all those baby steps. And when we congratulate ourselves, we start to build on that energy. But when we tell ourselves off, the energy goes down, and it's harder to pick ourselves up. So absolutely, yes, that's great.
Similar in our breakout, someone recommended a vision board at the kind of the beginning of the year, and you add to it and you just look at it daily and where you want to get to. Absolutely,
that's very motivating. Not only that, the law, probably a lot of people have heard about the law of attraction. Things start to move towards you. Those things we say coincidences, they start moving towards you, and then that starts to become a reality. So vision boards are excellent for setting goals. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, can I say something?
Yes.
At the time of Corona now, you know, for about 6 months now, people are staying at home and doing nothing except in front of their computer or TV. I can see that many young people and even older people are discovering themselves and discovering their abilities while staying at home. Yeah, for example, I can say some of them myself, I start drawing pictures and it works well with me. Some of them try playing music and they say, I have never played music, but now I'm trying it and I like it and I think I'm doing good. Some of them try making sewing, making clothes. Some of them, I'm talking about women, mainly women in the city where I am in Oldenburg now, in Germany. Many women say they have never done something, but now in the Corona time, staying at home, they try to benefit from time and they discover that they have certain abilities that they didn't know they have had these abilities in themselves. which was wonderful, of course.
Great.
And
Yeah.
some of them buy the milk from the farmers around the city and make cheese, and make yogurt and sell, which is very beneficial. So I think we can discover ourselves even in the dark times.
Yeah.
We can find what is good in our souls.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, and we can discover our abilities to create something good.
Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing that, bringing to us. Definitely, we all have the abilities.
Can I just share from our breakout session some of the things that came out? It's Azmina Nathani here. We had sort of like one of the ladies who skills are good listening, teaching. She's a Bethlehem teacher. And she's got little children and she wants to go back into teaching, and she's finding it hard to pluck up courage to find out whether she can manage the home and children and everything else. So this is something that she wanted to work on. There was another lady who actually said that she's going to accept people as they are. She won't be judging, or as time goes by, people learn things, and as you get older, you learn things as you go along. So like she wanted to sort of like say that her sort of like happiness comes from accepting people as they are and not to make judgments. And for herself as well, she is learning to be herself, not being put down by people, because most of the time other people put you down and then you lose your confidence. So in the end, we all came to a conclusion that we have to accept who we are and what we are, as your session is today.
Great, yes. And when we do that, other people accept us. That's great. Thank you so much for sharing and being brave. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for contributing and for sharing and being so open.
I was in a breakup room and there was a lady who was saying, how do you cope with the things like if you are with someone in a group and somebody is very loud, and she says, I hate that very much, but I become completely quiet and withdrawn, and I close myself and I don't express any opinion then, though I hate what is going on or I completely disagree with what is going on. And I thought that is more of our insecurity not being able to express, rather than because her reasoning was that maybe it will end up in a conflict, and according to me, it's not necessarily that it may end up in a conflict, but it is our insecurity that maybe my opinion is not worthy enough to be expressed. But could you put some light on it?
Yes, I think what you're saying is right. It is our beliefs sometimes. And we don't have to be aggressive to put our point. We can do it in a very assertive way,
yes,
and a kinder way. And also it's about accepting other people. But if you just stay quiet, then who's losing out? So I think you're right in what you said. Yes, it's a lot of times it's so we need to take that power back and say, if I am responsible for these feelings that I'm having about this, what do I need to do?
We were only two who were talking to each other. The others probably were listening. One of the things that I learned was from my younger colleague is that networking assists in this time, and putting oneself forward is very important. So taking the opportunity while the business is so calm and nothing's happening, to learn further and reaching out and being in a manner overcoming the effect of this environment, not be a negative influence, and also having a young person in the family as a mother who is able now. When she expresses, the daughter expresses the fears and saying, I can't do this, being assertive and being able to say, try the little small steps and see if that helps you to get forward. So there's a lot of learning between mother and daughter happening. And there was something else that I shared was, it's all right for you to say, I am not an expert, and telling the group that you're working with to say that if there's anything I do not do right, then can you please, tell me that it is not. And that way you are gaining the confidence from the others to be able to be open. And that helps you to grow, as well as it helps the others to say, and this is a very acceptable person and it's all right to share stuff. So those were a couple of things that I wanted to share.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's great, because when we are open, it, as we said earlier in the presentation, it gives others permission to do the same. Yes. Because that person is saying, yeah, if she's okay about it, then I can be okay. Otherwise, people get withdrawn and they're not sharing. So that, and the confidence, and I think we also talked in our group about how it's arrogance and confidence. Arrogance is saying, yeah, I have to be perfect, or I am perfect. Whereas confidence is saying, I am great at this and you're great at something else. So, yeah. So it's comfortable being who you are. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you. We're learning a lot from you.
Thank you. Nice to see you again. I saw so many familiar faces today. It's so lovely.
We've had one question on the chat, which is, what are the tools that we can use to overcome our fears? If you could touch on that again.
What are the tools? Okay, so first of all, it is to know that everybody feels fear. So it's okay to have that fear and still go and do what you want to do. Know that a lot of your fears are not true. I don't know if they voice what the fear is, but a lot of things we think is true, and that's why we don't do it. If I speak up, this person will blame me. Well, maybe that might not be true. So there are a lot of what if this happens? One example I gave you, what if I go and do a speech, and what if everybody laughs? But really a lot of them are false expectations. So really to know these truths about fear, write your fears down and ask yourself, is this really, really true? And maybe even ask other people, does this really happen? And you'll find that a lot of times don't, they're just in our mind.
Azmina, sorry, that question actually came from me myself, but it was more along the lines of fears in terms of not what if, but actually people's judgments, because it's very easy to say, oh, it doesn't matter what they say, or that's not my business. What they think is their business. It's very easy to say this, but when you're living in a society or around people that are quite judgmental, it's not easy to just say, right, let it be, I'm going to carry on. So it's what kind of tools are there that can be used to avoid people's judgments influencing your behavior or your mood?
Well, I would say the only person in any situation when another person is there behaving a certain way, the only person we can change is ourselves. We can't always change other people. But sometimes by speaking our mind, if they're reasonable or if they really think what we say to them about them being judgmental about us, if something in them changes and they realize, then they may change. But we can't change other people. We can only change who we are and how we think about what the other person is thinking. So it's not easy. You're absolutely right. It takes a long time to overcome our fears and a lot of our beliefs, which leads to our fears. But it's about changing, making small changes. Maybe if somebody's judging you, to actually speak to them and say, look, this is what I feel when you did such and such and such. And then maybe they never even thought that they were doing something. Or maybe they are doing purposely to get back at you in some way. And at that point we can say, well, it's their problem. They're the ones who need to be judgmental. And I don't need to take it on board. If we don't take something on board, then it stays with them and not with us. So this has been my experience and my journey and how I have dealt with it. I don't know if that resonates with you, but what I know is we can only change ourselves. we can voice our opinions to others. If they choose to change, then great. But if they don't choose to change, then it's still our decision and choice what we do with that. Does it make sense, hopefully?
Yeah. Thank
Cool.
you.
Okay.
I think when somebody is criticizing us or judging us, it's their problem. But the moment we start worrying about it, it becomes our problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
So
So, yeah, but it takes time, you know, when we're,
Yeah.
it takes time gradually as you practice more and more. Our pathways in our brain start changing. We start getting more courage. It's like building a muscle. When you're exercising, it takes time for that muscle to build. So similarly, it takes time for courage to build. So don't be harsh on yourself, but just take baby steps. Start being more assertive, more communicative, and then see what people's reactions are. And I think most times people react well. Some people may not, but most people do react well when you share your feelings about how you're feeling about what they're doing. So it's helpful if you share.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Azmina. That was a wonderful session. It's great hearing all your experience because, as you say, it's a journey, and it's nice to hear that we're all kind of experiencing similar things and figuring out what works. So it's great to hear all these tips from you. So thank you.
And you know, even after 20 years, there are things I'm working on still. It doesn't end. Yeah.
Great, and thank you everyone for joining and participating. If you ever need help, we've got the Aga Khan Health Board, the Aga Khan Social Welfare Board, and our WAP team, and we've also got the Coronavirus Support Team. And even if you're not from the UK jurisdiction, but you've joined us today and you want to reach out, we'd be happy to chat with you too. So anytime you need support, please do reach out to us. Our next Sisterhood session will be at the end of September, and we'll be talking about navigating changes at work. We'll be sharing marketing in Al-Sahar and social media shortly, and if you're on our mailing list, we'll also send you the marketing there too. So when you finish the evaluation, I'll just give you a few more seconds to do that. You can see those coming through. Thank you. And then now Azmina will kindly host our closing practice.
Yes, so thank you very much everyone for contributing. I'm most grateful. And we're just going to do a little bit of quiet time. So I would like you all to sit back, relax, take a deep breath in, and if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, please do. So just take a deep breath in and release your shoulders, any tension in your shoulders. Just relax. Again, take a deep breath in and just relax the muscles, shoulders, body, chest, thighs, your calves, and all the way down to your toes. Now imagine a white light coming down through your top of your head, the crown of your head. As it comes down on your face, it's very healing. And it comes all the way into on your face, and it's relaxing your face muscles, down your arms, relaxing your arms, chest, and it comes all the way to your hips, and your thighs, and all the way down to your toes, and goes all the way down into the Mother Earth. And this practice is very good when you want to feel grounded. Now this white light is just expanding as you breathe. It's getting bigger and larger, and it's covering your whole body. And as you breathe, it's expanding even further. And it's covering the whole of your room where you're in. And then it just gets bigger and expands further out into the city that you're in, the country that you live in. And it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's beginning to surround and be with everyone in this world, on this earth. And the whole earth is now just white light. And let's send healing to everyone. And as you breathe, the white light gets bigger and bigger. And it covers all our planets and the universe. Then it gets bigger and so big that it's endless. There's no end to it. It's an eternity. And all there is now is just white light and your breath, and just the white light and your breath. And just stay there a moment. And if you get any thoughts, that's quite natural and normal. As soon as you realize, just come back. Just come back to that light, feeling of light that's everywhere. You're just one with that light. Just stay there a few minutes. Sense the energy of your body and your breath. And just be one with this white light. Just be one with the light. Okay. Now begin to come back into the room that you're in. Feel the chair that you're sitting on or wherever you're sitting. Start to feel your fingers and your toes. And take a big deep breath in and smile out. Be at peace. And be your unique, special self. You deserve it, you're worthy, and you're very special. Okay, and when you're ready, open your eyes.
On behalf of the WAP team, I'd like to wish you a great week. Warm wishes for calm, strength, peace, and good health. And take care, and remember that we are one Jamaat. We're here to support each other, so don't ever hesitate to reach out to your sisters and your family and friends if ever you need. Thank you, and Yani Madad.